Where's my drill? No wonder I couldn't find it in the garage.
Hey, we're live.
We're live.
We live and we're live.
We
and we're
live.
live and we live. We live.
We live.
And we are live.
And we are live.
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler from the Bee Gees.
From the Bee Gees?
No.
I was going to say, I don't think Liv Tyler was in the Bee Gees.
You don't think so?
I was like, I don't know, though. Maybe I'm crazy. That would be crazy. Like, if I just discovered today that Liv Tyler was in the Bee Gees.
Was magically in the Bee Gees also?
That would have been amazing.
No, we all know that she is from Aerosmith.
Of course. She is the lead singer of Aerosmith.
Yes.
Okay. So, not a whole lot of news and stuff, right? We're just going to kind of go into...
I have two little articles, and then we'll go into it.
Cool.
I was just looking for something. And also the books that I've been reading.
The books.
All right, I'm going to start over his ear.
His ear. Whose ear?
His ear. Your ear.
Why
her
my
ear. They ear.
There.
All right, here we go. Ready?
Yeah, I think so.
On this episode of Banthamilk Podcast, we find out Ahsoka's backstory.
And we find out that Nick and Rob should have thought this through beforehand.
Yes. Intro music.
Hunting is a complicated profession.
Fashion. That should just be the whole
Fashion. Just that going the whole
Let me tell you,
time.
that wouldn't be the craziest thing I've seen in the world because, yes, this is Banthamilk Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm going to take this as an opportunity to
Hi, everyone.
To get on my soapbox about something that troubles me
Okay.
in this society.
I
have finally, at the
ripe.
ripe old age of 35, reached the point where I can no longer relate to youth culture.
At 35.
Yeah, it took long enough. So I've been, and I think this is something that we as a now group of influencers
Yes.
should get on.
Yes.
I don't know how often you're on the TikToks or the TikToks.
TikToks. I'm tagged in it all the time because
But
my
you're not-
wife is on it all
Yeah.
the time. Yes.
So
She had a video that went viral.
I saw that.
Yes.
She and she was
1
proud of it.
million views.
1 billion.
1 billion.
There's a fly down here.
There
Here's
is
our
a fly.
guest star
He
today.
likes Nick.
Anyway, so there's a new trend on TikTok, and
Oh,
it's the most confusing thing I've ever seen in my life.
is it the background character thing?
The live NPCs?
Yes.
I don't understand what's happening.
And the fact that people are giving them
Money.
lots of it.
And it's not even like, I could almost understand if it was just like, oh, it's the pretty girls showing all the stuff. But like, there is one that regularly shows up on my TikTok feed, and I don't get it because I don't watch them. And it's the same thing, but it's this fat dude in a Spider-Man costume, like a onesie that doesn't zip up all the way. And he just kind of does this. And he's like, ooh, glizzies. Oh, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, we should put these on. Do you think that we would get money? Like, do you think people would subscribe if we just did that and we were live NPCs for a day? Just you and me sitting in front of, ooh, roses, smells delightful. Roses, smells delightful.
I think I know what we're doing tomorrow.
Like, what is happening? Like, is this when it happens? Is this the moment where, like,
yes,
evolutionarily speaking, the world goes, you are no longer a subset of this particular
you know that
demographic.
You know that picture of evolution where it starts out as caveman
Yeah.
and then it works its way all the way up and they're standing up and then they're fully erect and now they're Homo sapiens. Yeah. Well, now we are starting to work our way back down.
Yeah. We've gone all the way up.
That bell curve.
And now we're going back down.
Peaked the bell curve. Now we're going back down.
Well, so be on the lookout for Banthamilk Podcast TikTok and our live NPCs coming at you.
It would be apparently pretty easy to do. All you have to do is just stand there and go, I got the
flowers. Smells
I got
nice.
the Grogu doll too.
Flowers.
It can be
Smells
like,
nice. Flowers. What the hell?
Yep, that's it.
Oh, God. Anyway. Hi, Rob. How
Hi.
are you?
Good, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing all right. We're here once again. It's the road to Ahsoka.
It sure is.
Ahsoka debuts in a couple weeks here, and we are here. We decided let's rewatch a great show, and so we rewatched season 1 of Rebels. We're going to talk all about that today. Before we do, I have a drink.
Okay.
That I
Why
wanted
does your
you-
camera, look like it's in a fisheye view?
I don't know. It does though, doesn't it?
It does.
You got like a nice...
Yeah, it's like,
I
you're
don't
knocking on the door. Let me
Hello.
in.
It's like anytime I come to your house and I press
You're
the
pressing
ring
the
button.
ring button. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess people just get this delightful fisheye view of me.
There you go.
So I don't have a lot of liquor in the house because I have a child now and I can't afford it.
And
but
she takes all the liquor.
like she's got a real problem. I gotta tell you, we
At
might have
9
to have an
months.
intervention.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have an intervention too.
But my buddy Johnny, God love him, he brought me a bottle
Okay.
of some whiskey,
Okay.
and I want your opinion.
Alrighty.
So we're gonna have a little glass of this Lagavulin, aged 8 years,
8-year-old Lagavulin. Now I'm
single malt Scotch whiskey.
Okay, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a Scotch whiskey type
Can
of
I
person.
tell you,
anyway.
Rob? I know that. There's the thunder. If you heard that.
Thunder.
I'm not a Scotch whiskey person. Go go go.
Yeah. Boom.
And that is fine. I will tell you, I've had this bottle for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
And that's how much I've drank.
That's
out of
all that, and you like whiskey.
So that should tell you.
Yes.
Again, I'm not expecting you to drink this and go, I'm going to be a whiskey person from now on. I am just curious to get your attention.
You have converted me.
Yeah. So pass that bad boy over. I'm going to pour, and I got to tell you, thank you, Johnny. It is a beautiful looking bottle.
It sure is.
This is the Ron Swanson special. This is, Lagavulin is what Ron Swanson drinks.
So yes.
But anyway, I'm going to just pour you just a wee scotch of this single malt Scotch whiskey.
Because single malt is definitely the more pristine of the whiskeys.
It's less malt than like.
Oh my God, I can smell it already.
Oh yeah, like this is a single malt. Like I'd much rather have a single than a double or a triple malt or like a quadruple malt.
That's like 3 different barrels all combined together, and it's going to give you a slightly different taste.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I honestly don't know.
Yeah, like the single malt barrel aged means that
it all comes from the same barrel.
From one barrel.
Interesting.
What they do a lot of times, especially like what I was gonna say, Johnny Walker.
Johnny Walker's a bourbon.
A bourbon. So what they do is they will combine a bunch of different barrels together, because some of them, just depending on where they are in the barn that they're storing them in for all these years,
right?
Some of them
might be further along in the process,
right? And they pull in more of the charcoal from the barrel and things like that. So you get a smoother blend of everything all together, where a single malt is just straight out of the barrel. This is it, one barrel, and that's it.
Well, take a nice little sniff first.
Yeah.
Give a little sniff test.
Oh my God, it's like lighter fluid. Holy crap.
This is high test, man. I'm telling you.
High test.
This is like, I will finish a bottle of bourbon, like this size in a week.
Yeah.
On a slow week.
If you drank more than this amount, you're sleeping over tonight.
Yeah. So let's hit cheers.
Cheers.
And I look forward to your thoughts here, Rob.
Well, I can tell you, the ice cubes didn't even have a chance. I'm just gonna say that. And it's not even that it's hot; it's just the liquor.
Yep.
Oh God.
What do you think? So I'm in a group me chat with a bunch of bourbon snobs.
Okay.
And the one bourbony snobbiest of them all, said he likened this to drinking Band-Aids.
Yes.
He's like, it's liquid Band-Aids.
It is. It has a very distinct taste.
It's like a medicinal, like
yeah. Like
you don't have to drink anymore. Rob's like, I know.
At first, I thought I was tasting. First, it almost tasted like you could taste the barrel, like the char in the barrel. Then it tasted like my parents used to smoke. It's like an ashtray.
Yeah.
And Band-Aids, I definitely get the Band-Aid aftertaste.
I wouldn't have thought that at all. And then he said the word Band-Aid, and I was like, yes, that is exactly what this is.
It totally tastes like Band-Aid's aftertaste. That is holy.
So just so you're aware of what you should be tasting, right? Let's see what this is. It says, we journeyed through the village of Lagavulin, the mill in the valley, and no prettier or more romantic spot could have been chosen for a distillery. We tasted some 8-year-old before starting, which was exceptionally fine, says Alfred Barnard. This is from the Isle of Islay, right, in Scotland.
Okay.
It's 48% alcohol by volume.
Jeez, my lips are numb.
Yeah. So It actually doesn't even tell you what you're supposed to taste. Usually they say, "Oh, you should get like hints of caramel." Like,
yeah.
this is just like, this is Lagavulin. It's Scotch. Whatever
It
you
should
taste,
taste like gasoline. You should be getting hints of gasoline and Band-Aids.
Yeah. Gasoline and Band-Aids, new band name. So that is Lagavulin 8-year
Yes.
single malt Scotch whiskey.
So
Not my favorite Scotch whiskey.
no, and I find it very funny. Wine is the same way. When they'll have like a 2012 wine, and you'll be like, "Ooh," and they're like, "Yeah, the sourness is due to environmental. It rained a lot that year, so
Sure.
the grapes were really plump or something. So that's why it was extra Y or whatever." Then the 2013 blend is so much smoother and like all this nonsense because every year it's different environment, so the grapes always perform differently. But with beer, if you have a bad batch of beer, you can't be like, "Oh, this one
Oh,
is
that year
extra."
barley
The barley was this
extra
yeah
swollen that year.
yeah like you if it tastes bad, you have to throw it out.
Yeah.
You know, like but like with wine, they just go,
Oh
it's
no, that
just
was a product of the time.
yeah, it was the
Yes.
very specific for
I had someone at a winery tell me that I should get hints of earth.
okay.
And I didn't realize what she meant was, when you like you go outside and it first rains and you smell
That sulfur smell.
like asphalt that was just rained on.
Uh-huh.
That's what it
That's
tasted
what
like.
it tasted
And she's
like.
like, that's what it's supposed to taste like. I'm like, I don't want that to
I don't
be
want
something I drink.
I don't want to drink
That's a great
asphalt.
smell.
Yeah.
But as
Yeah.
far as imbibing, nothing.
No, thank you.
So yeah,
Yeah. So I find it funny, and especially since it's a single malt, they didn't blend it at all.
no,
So
this is straight out the barrel.
straight out the barrel. This barrel was lined with Band-Aids, apparently.
Yeah, this was their Band-Aid. It was a very Band-Aid year.
It was a very Band-Aid year.
That year there was a lot of Band-Aids in the atmosphere.
Yeah,
and it made the
Holy cow.
malt extra Band-Aidy.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
I understand why it's not that low. I'd rather drink what's the green stuff that we had with the Midori?
Midori.
I'd
I
rather
still have
just
that
drink
bottle.
straight up Midori.
I literally
think.
almost brought that today because in my liquor cabinet I have this. I have that bottle of Midori.
Uh-huh.
I have that limon rumchata. I have blue curacao. Basically everything we've been using for drinks.
Yeah.
And there was one more ridiculous thing. Oh, I've got that brandy. We got like this blackberry brandy for something years ago. I still have, but
you still have that. That's
yeah.
really
So
funny.
again, I just wanted to get it was mostly to see your face when you drank it. It delivered.
It delivered
did everything
good.
it needed.
I'm glad that my face sold what it tasted like to
Yeah.
you as well. So
Yep.
yes.
So while we stare at this liquor and not drink it,
When not drink it. What's the bottom row that the
that would be the porg, right? Or the Ewok.
pork Ewok or something even Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. Yeah,
Jar
that's a
Jar. This is definitely a
That's
Jar
a Jar Jar for you?
This is a Jar
I'm
Jar.
gonna go ahead and say you're right.
And I feel bad that your friend bought you this. Maybe somebody gave it to him and he was like, "Hell no, I'm not drinking that."
No, I think it, like he knows I like whiskey. He just
Okay.
doesn't know what kind of whiskey I really like.
Right.
So he's like, Lagavulin is a nice bottle. I'm gonna buy. And he, a lot of thought when he has gotten me whiskey in the past, like Scotch that was really good. Like he got me a Macallan that I really liked.
Okay.
Lagavulin is different.
This is still coming off.
Yeah, he's like, I can't get this taste out of my mouth. I need a Yoo-hoo. We got a Yoo-hoo. Get this taste out of my mouth.
Clear this taste out of my mouth.
All right, well, Rob has got just piles of, but first, before you do that,
yes.
Here,
okay.
Rob, what is this?
Oh, geez. I was not good at those at all.
So we've got these Star Wars cards
put it
here,
into the card.
right?
Yeah.
And so if you're watching
it's
us
a
on YouTube,
bird
it's
underneath
a bird
the calendar.
underneath the calendar.
Calendar bird.
Calendar bird.
Calendar. It's a calendar bird. That's my answer. Star Wars calendar
Nailed
bird.
it.
Yeah,
Nice
I nailed
job.
it. Yeah.
It's the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, because it was the Millennium.
the Millennium.
1100,
And how
and that
about-
bird was a falcon. Yes.
How about that bad boy right there?
I'm not going to get this one either.
Oh, yes, you will.
pan. It's
What kind of a pan is it?
A frying pan. Fry.
It's an Asian frying pan.
Oh, it's a wok.
Yeah.
It's a wok. So, oh, it's an Ewok.
It's an Ewok.
There
you
go.
go.
Good
All right,
job.
We've got this.
We
one
should
right
play.
here.
We should play a game. Who gets it first? The chat or Rob?
Oh,
We
that
have
would
to
be
get
good. I think we only got one person in the chat.
Yeah, we got to
though.
get some people in the chat.
All right,
so
we got
that's
this guy.
He's like falling on a cloud. I'm looking in here. So
Okay.
Yeah. He's like a guy standing on a cloud. Is he falling? Cloud City?
Not Cloud
Luke
City.
Skywalker falling from Cloud City.
Wait, what was the last name?
Skywalker?
He's
Luke?
walking on the sky.
He's walking. So is it Luke
It's
Skywalker?
Skywalker.
It's Skywalker.
That's the one.
Okay, there we go.
And then this one's pretty easy.
I hope so. White, the black. Oh, the Return. No, the white,
There are two sides here.
the black and the whites, the light and the dark, the Jedi and the dark side.
The dark
Okay, there
side,
you go.
right?
Yeah,
The dark side. There
the
you go.
dark side. Yes,
All
I
right.
was not. I posted a couple of those when I first got them a while back.
These are
and
good. I like these.
Pagan was really good at getting all the answers.
She's brainy.
Yeah, she was very brainy.
She's got brain stuff happening. Not
Even when I knew the answer, I still couldn't figure it out. Like you could ask me those, although not that I had enough of this to really affect my brain, but I'm sure one more sip of this drink and my brain would be
Yeah.
total mush.
I mean, but then you get ones like this, like
Shark,
it's just Finn.
Finn. Oh, just Finn.
Like Finn.
Yeah.
And then like this silliness right here.
So he's a DJ Rex.
It's DJ.
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 But who's DJ?
DJ's the guy from not the Rise of Skywalker, but the other one. Remember Don't Join?
Yeah.
He was not Guillermo. What's the dude's name? And Benicio del Toro. Is that,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I remember him now. Yeah.
Yep. Anyway.
All right. Anyway, so before we get into some news, I want to go over. This is what we could have. Oh my gosh, the musician Tom Amin right for us. Rob Reeds, and he could play a nice little song.
I like that.
Yeah. So since our last show, I finished reading The Princess and the Scoundrel.
Oh, look at them!
Which was Princess Leia and Han Solo's marriage. Although
was there another one with their marriage as well?
So
do we have dueling marriages of the Solos? Oh, the courtship of Princess Leia, right?
Courtship of Princess Leia. Yeah, I read that one. No, that's True Separate too. But anyway, I'm pretty sure it was called The Courtship of Princess Leia. Is when she was basically she was almost like sold off,
like arranged marriage,
like arranged marriage with this guy. I forget all the names now, but he was from a different galaxies, not part of our galaxy, but and it was like to try and combine the two galaxies together. His mom was like a supreme being type thing and whatever. So in that, like her and Han, I vaguely want to say at the end kind of get married also, I thought, but whatever. But this one was like, oh, we saw them first get together in Return of the Jedi.
Sure.
And then we see them in episode 7 when they're now divorced.
Sure.
So this was supposed to take place in between there when they actually get married and whatever. So it was a good book.
In the old canon, right?
No, this is new.
Oh, this is a new canon book.
Canon book. Yeah, this was a new canon book. This one's probably, let's see. Are my glasses on my head?
There they go.
I'm looking for the publishing date. Talk amongst yourselves, folks.
Smoke if you got them.
Yeah, drink some of this.
Yeah.
Single printed. Copyright 2022. So this came out last year.
Yeah. All right.
So this one came out last year. So the beginning of it was their wedding, but it wasn't only their wedding, and it wasn't not a smut book, but it wasn't like those like with the
paperback novel.
Yeah,
like with Fabio on
Fabio on the cover or anything like that. Like I thought it would be pretty funny if they actually wrote some of those
Star Wars
paperback novel. Yeah, Star Wars love story.
You gotta go
books.
online to find those.
Yeah,
those are the fan
fiction ones. So it starts off with their wedding, and then they're on their way to their honeymoon when, of course, Princess Leia, being who she is, had to turn their honeymoon into a diplomatic mission and stuff. So that's what it turns out to be. It was good. It was fun. It was a good read.
Are you done or are you almost done?
No, I read it.
Okay.
Yeah, I finished the whole thing.
I don't know if that bookmark was
Yeah, no, that was the last place that I stopped. I had like 40 pages left to the end. So that's a good book. So if you want a nice, good book, that's a fun one. Then I read Darth Maul's Shadow Hunter.
Nice.
Which was a very good book also. This is Legends.
That's Legends?
This is Legends. Yeah, this
says so on there, right?
Yeah, it says so, part of the Essential Legends collection. So this was fun. I liked it. At one point though, because it's kind of like reading the Thrawn books where you're kind of rooting for Darth Maul.
Yeah.
But then at the same time as I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, am I supposed to be rooting for him? And then I'm like, wait, no, he's the bad guy, but he's the protagonist in this particular book. How can I? So he's on a mission to prevent knowledge getting out in the world. He has to kill these guys because the Senator Palpatine is like don't let anybody know about this. So he's trying to get the guys, and of course they're eluding them. And then as they're eluding them, some other Jedi that we never met before, which is what I always love about the books, is when you meet a new Jedi or
yeah.
anybody new, you're like, oh, okay, like what
Look, a
what
new
do you call
character.
it? It's the person that's always gets like killed off at the
Oh,
end.
the red shirt.
The red shirt,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, oh, who's going to be the red shirt? Which one of these new characters that haven't been in any of the movies is going to be the red shirt? And then at the same time, when they do bring somebody in from the movies, like
That
this
guy ain't
guy's,
dying.
he's
Yeah.
not dying,
Plot armor.
yeah. So it's like it is funny reading the books, looking at it that way, because it's like, oh, well, the new guy's gonna die, the guy from the movies isn't, and it's a little disappointing because you can kind of figure out who will be killed and who won't be killed.
Right.
And even with this, I was like, oh, are they going to get Darth Maul? But did you get it?
I think I did.
Good
I could
job.
be wrong. We've got a fly problem going on in the
Yeah,
studio,
he's
so we've
being
got
annoying.
our trusty green lightsaber here to deal with it.
So it's a fun book. So if you want to read a book where you yourself are are torn because you want to root for the protagonist, but the protagonist is actually the bad guy at the same time, this is a good book.
There you go.
And then you said you did read this. I thought I did, but I went to Sherry was like, you should go. So completing one sentence first. When I got the Darth Maul book, I was in Barnes and Noble, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, wait, I think I read that book. Maybe I didn't read that book. I might have read that book. So Sherry was like, you should start a Goodreads account so that way when you go somewhere, you can see if you read that book
Oh, is that
before
a
or
thing?
not. Yeah, it's an app. Sherry reads all the time. She has read over 70 books this year.
I haven't read that many books in my life.
I know. She 1 year I think she tried to read over 200 books in
That's a
1
lot of
year,
books.
which is a lot of books, but it's awesome. But she so
That's my wife.
yeah,
She's a reader.
I'm proud of her. I'm like, that's amazing. So I try to read.
Book it, man. She should be getting those personal pan pizzas at Pizza Hut with
Oh,
Book It.
I know, right? She wouldn't have to
Clean
pay
up.
for any food.
That's it.
I have 25 Star Wars books on the shelves behind me
Sure.
that I have read over my lifetime of collecting and holding on to these Star Wars books. So I thought I read all 3 of the Timothy Zahn Thrawn books from, this is the original trilogy,
Yep.
right? Yes. So as I was good reading all the books, this one wasn't in there. So I was like, oh, let me finish this up. So
have you finished it?
No, I just started
That's where
this
you're at?
one.
Okay.
I mean, I finished up that trilogy, I should say.
Right.
So I am enjoying this one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This
and
is
so you're I'd
very
imagine
early on. I'm only like chapter 4 or 5.
but
or whatever.
yeah, I'm just trying to think of that because I listened to them all like back to back. So
Okay.
like this is the one. I mean, it's Mara Jade, it's Jeru Sabayoff, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Thrawn's in there and Rook's in there
and whatever the planet is, that this is the one where he like
who's the Talon Card.
Yes,
I like Talon Card a lot.
Yes.
I wish they would bring him into the canon because he was a really cool
Yeah.
Legends character. He was supposed to be like the guy who like filled the power vacuum after Jabba died.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And
Because
that's
he
who
was
Mara Jade worked
Mara
for.
Jade worked for him, and now in the beginning of this, she's at the Rebel hospital because
Right, because she in the last one, Luke found her like in the middle of like her
Space,
ship
yeah.
was like marooned, and he went and found her.
and he found her. Yeah. So this one's starting with her waking up out of the
yeah.
thing, and the katana
fleet.
The katana fleet.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with I forget what was the name of the second book. The second book was something like the Dark Force. Yeah,
Yes.
the Dark Force Rising.
Yes, Dark Force Rising.
And
Very good.
The katana fleet is the Dark Force. Like
Right.
that's the whole thing with it. And it's like this like whole fleet of ships that are all basically slave rigged so that like you can have this whole fleet, but only so many people
Right, a very
controlling
small
them
amount of
and-
people controlling them. Yeah.
So it's a really cool book.
And they
series for
also
sure.
introduced the way I envision them were like sloth-like animals, but they could subdue
the
force
Jedi.
powers.
Yeah, what are they called? Oh, that's gonna annoy me. And like Thrawn carries one around with him.
he
all
always
over the
has it
place.
because he's always hanging out with
Jeru.
Jeru.
Yeah.
And he's doing it to keep Sabath from using his powers against him and stuff.
Because in this one, he's getting really strong, and he's like he bends an entire ship like to his will and stuff.
Right.
What are those called? That's gonna annoy the hell out of me.
You could Google it.
I could give it a goog.
You could give it a goog. Yeah, I can't find it on the pages I'm looking at. But anywho, So yeah, so I'm reading the third one, and it was funny because when um the Ahsoka books or TV shows coming out, they were talking about maybe we're gonna see Mara Jade.
Yislamari.
Yes,
Yislamari.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So they were saying, oh, maybe we're gonna see her in it because she was in during the Thrawn books and stuff like that. So it would be interesting to see if she does make an appearance because I like her character. I think
Yeah.
she's a cool character. So I don't know, but I
There's
didn't
a
get
lot
to
of
the end of the book.
really interesting, and we talked a little bit about the new old dude in Ahsoka coming up, and I was like, oh, maybe that'll be Drew. It's not like they have a whole, but there is like even just from the little bit they've released about this
Okay,
dude, it does give me because he was a former Jedi,
right. Okay,
and like he's not like supposed to be like a Sith or a dark, like he, just the way they're talking, it seems to me like he's like this former Jedi who like survived Order 66, worked as a mercenary, and like would not consider himself dark side or like a dark Jedi, but like
okay.
is clearly going that
It's
way.
okay.
Just kind of like Sabayoth, who's like, oh, I'm a Jedi master, and
Right.
but like
Yeah.
he's really twisted and
And
stuff. So
like in the third book, he keeps saying that he's the emperor of the fleet.
yes,
He rules.
my
He is.
empire.
Yeah, it's my
And Thrawn's like,
empire.
all right.
Yeah, he's like, okay, you
Yeah.
sit over there, calm
And
down.
Pellion's like, can I just stand a little closer to you and
Yeah,
Yislamari, bro?
can I,
Can I just get in this
can
cage with you?
please just this guy's scaring me
Yep.
here.
So yeah, so you'll have to give me like your rundown when you're done. But I think the third one, and I think that's always the case, just because it's like all this tension rising to this
Right.
point. But the
Always.
third one was like my favorite. There was a lot of really
Okay.
cool things that happened. So
Yeah, even like as I picked it up again, I was like, oh, because I read the other two last summer,
right,
and I guess I got to the end of the summer, and I have a hard time reading when it's not summertime.
yeah,
So like during the summer, I'll read. I think I read 7 books this summer.
oh, more than me.
Yeah, which is like great for me. But then as soon as summer's over, then I don't read anymore. So yeah, so hopefully I want to get through it before the end of the summer. So I'll let you know how it goes
Sounds good.
before September hits.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll go to a commercial, and maybe you'll hear something, maybe you won't hear something, and then we'll come back with 2 very short Star Wars news articles, and then we'll get all into Star Wars Rebels because Ahsoka is apparently Rebels season 5.
Love it.
Love it. All right, we'll be right back.
1877 cars for kids. KARS cars for kids. I hate that song.
It's so like 90s. Like I don't even know why.
Do you remember there was a commercial on South Jersey radio, and it was braces make happy faces.
Oh,
See Dr. Lopez for a healthy smile.
okay.
Do you remember that one?
No, I
that
didn't.
one
Yeah.
played so much when I was a kid.
Okay.
And it's stuck in my head.
And it's
just like the Cars
just
for
like
Kids.
the Cars for Kids is.
Anyway, we hope you don't donate your car to Cars for Kids just because of how terrible that theme song is.
The commercial and that theme song is so bad.
And
so if you're
here we
watching
are.
this on YouTube,
That's right.
don't do that.
Don't do it.
Now, listening on the podcast, you won't hear any of this whole banter at all. I'm going to
Bummer.
cut all this
Bummer.
out. Bummer. All right, let's get into the news.
Star Wars news.
Bonk.
Bonk. All right, I have 2 articles. Apparently, there's a new Ahsoka character poster that just came out.
Ooh.
So go to StarWars.com there, Nicholas, and you can see it.
I'm gonna go to StarWars.com there.
Go to StarWars.com there.
StarWars.com there.
New Ahsoka character poster debuts. There's a
what I love about the word Star Wars, by the way, is it's one of the only things I can think of that you type entirely with your left hand. Like Star Space Wars, it's all left-handed.
All left hand.
Every time I type it, I'm like, this is so much fun.
This is fun.
Oh, that's right. I've seen that. The Sabine one.
Yeah. So if you scroll down just a little bit, they have Sabine at the top, and it says no, and then they have all the different posters. So there's Ahsoka, there's Sabine, there's Hera. I don't know who that one is. Who's the girl after her?
I don't see. Oh, there it is. Ahsoka character posters debut.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, Harrison Dula, Morgan Elsbeth.
Oh, so that's the one. She was the bad guy in The Mandalorian, wasn't she? When she fight?
Oh, she fought her.
That's who Din got the spear.
The stick. The Beskar
spear from.
Yes. And then
And then
Balin
Balin
Skull,
Skull, who's the
which is who
the
we
old
were
dude.
hoping would be Jor
Jurus
Sabath.
Sabaoth, yeah.
That's a shame.
And then Shin Hati, which is, I guess, his apprentice.
Yeah, it looks like his apprentice.
Yeah.
'Cause she
And
has
again,
a-
they've got those orange lightsabers. They're
Yeah,
not red.
they're not
They're
red.
specifically not red. Like
Yes.
Dave Filoni made a point to make them orange.
Yeah, I was about to say red, but I'm like, no, they're definitely orange.
Yeah,
not
no,
red.
he likes, and I think that's part of like this whole thing. And we were just kind of talking about it, where these two are going to be like, you know, they don't think of themselves maybe as dark Jedi, you know,
Right.
and this, like, you know, they're not
Kind of like
pure
how
red.
Ahsoka doesn't consider herself a Jedi either.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be a big theme in Ahsoka, is what does it mean to be a Jedi? And like a lot of the fandom, and I was listening to Star Wars Explained earlier, and they were kind of talking about this. You know, there's this big thing in the fandom about gray Jedi,
Okay.
and there are some people who are like, yeah, gray Jedi, and some people hate the idea. And they were saying, like, you know, there's not really, and I don't know how much I buy into this, but they were talking about how like you can't really be a gray Jedi. Like, you either subscribe to the light or the dark.
Okay.
And Yoda even says, you know, if down the dark path you lead forever, it will dominate your destiny. So like, I think part of what the theme of this is going to be for both these two, Balin and Hati, as well as on the other end for Ahsoka, is what does it mean to be a Jedi? Because
Right.
he even in the trailer goes, "We are no Jedi."
Yeah.
Which is exactly what
Yeah,
Ahsoka
what
says.
Ahsoka has said.
And
yes.
so, you know, will Ahsoka see these two and be like, well, this is a slippery slope that leads to that? Or like, you know, will she define? I don't know. I think it's just going to be a defining question throughout the series of what does
Right.
it mean to be light
to
or
be
dark
light
or
dark
Jedi or
yeah,
not.
Yeah.
And is being a Jedi like, because, you know, when we grew up, being a Jedi was, you know, oh, he's got magic powers, he's a Jedi. It was never like, oh, they're a part of the Jedi Order and they're a
Right.
card-carrying member and they're paying their dues. You know,
Yeah,
like that was
yeah.
never really a thing.
Yeah, and they have to uphold all these things to be a Jedi. It was
Right.
just, and even like,
That's why they called the bad guys Dark Jedi. You know what I
Right.
mean? And they said like, oh, Palpatine, he's trained in the Jedi arts.
Right.
You know, because it was never really like
it was never, yeah.
it was just,
and
Jedi powers.
Even like when we, you know, we met Luke and they were like, he's too old, but yet he picked it up real quickly and he was a Jedi.
Yep.
You know, and it wasn't like,
well, he can't be a Jedi because he's too old. Because he,
yeah, yeah,
because he learned to be a Jedi. So again, I think what does being a Jedi mean is going to be part of the theme for this show.
yeah. And it wasn't until like episode 1 where we meet the Jedi Council and all that stuff, and then we find out that there's
Bureaucracy
that
and-
goes along with it
yeah.
and all that other stuff. All right, and then this one, this is a fun one
Ready
because
for it. I like fun.
we love
Fun is
this
good.
character.
You know, to go along this fun, we should just take a nice long swig of this freaking
Oh my God, that
single
is-
malt whiskey.
Not fun. Do you remember?
I'm a whiskey person, and I'm like,
and you don't even like it. Do you remember a character named Cara Dune?
I remember that person. Did they
Yeah.
recast Cara Dune?
They did not yet,
Oh, okay.
but Star Wars alum Gina Carano teases Disney lawsuit after Elon Musk proposal.
Oh, Elon, why won't you just stop talking?
When Twitter/X owner Elon Musk offered late Saturday to pay legal fees to battle any employer who has this just says who has unfairly any employer who has unfairly treated a worker for a post on social media platform, at least one user stepped up to the plate. Actress Gina Carano, who portrayed Cara Dune in Disney Plus's The Mandalorian and was infamously dropped by Lucasfilm from all Star Wars projects due to a controversial post on her personal account, tweeted in response to Musk's position, "I think I qualify." So she...
Go away. Both of them, I wish would just go away. Like they act like they're these oppressed, like multimillionaire and billionaires. Like, go away.
Go away.
Just go away.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have nothing else to say other than exactly what you said. Go away. Like, it's just
It's like, oh no, it's the consequences of my actions.
right.
Darn.
I said some very controversial things and then my boss fired me. Oh no, now it's not my fault because this is what I believe. So it's okay.
And I should be able to say anything I want without reprimanding or retribution.
Right. It should just let it go. Somebody was saying It wasn't. Oh, the flat. There's a new group of people who believe that the Death Star was flat.
Listen, man, I'm just saying, I've never seen it in person. I've only ever seen it on a flat screen.
Right? It's always been flat to me.
It's
Whenever
always
I've
been
seen it,
flat.
it's always been flat. And the first
Checkmate round Death Stars.
That's right. And the first Death Star was blown up before you were born.
That's
So
true. I mean,
you
for
don't
all
even
I
know if the Death Star is real or
the
not.
first Death Star could have been staged.
It could have been.
Right? It could have all been fake.
It could be fake.
It was all done in a television studio.
I remember seeing little
my
pluses in the
God.
corners. They could see where they landed on the Death
Messed up,
Star.
man.
Yeah, it is messed up.
You know, the corruption goes all the way to the top. on this
It
one.
does go all the way to the top.
You know, something here stinks.
George Lucas is not a real politician.
George Lucas is a real politician. That's what we just learned.
That is
Oh,
what we
boy.
just learned.
All right. So
That's it for the
let's
news.
travel
That's all I
away
got.
from
Let's
Elon
travel
Musk.
away from Elon Musk. Let's get into. So I was thinking we would do a little backstory on Star Wars Rebels. Maybe the characters, especially since we
Love it.
saw a couple of the characters in the
live
posters
action
in
and
live
the
action.
posters. Yeah, we've seen. Trying to think of any. I mean, we've seen a couple in live action already, like we saw
Yep.
Zeb and stuff.
We
but,
saw
like, yeah.
Zeb already. We saw a hologram of Ezra in
Mhm.
one of the previews.
Yeah.
We saw Chopper already,
Chopper,
the
yeah.
droid.
Although is Chopper? Can we call Chopper live action? Because
well,
like
if we're gonna go with that way, can we call Harrison do live action? Because I'm pretty sure she's been completely CGI'd over her.
you think that's not just really good makeup?
Really good
and-
makeup?
I don't know. It looks pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess. I mean, I've only ever seen.
Well,
like,
okay. What about Zeb? Zeb then?
Zeb definitely looked super CGI,
Yeah.
especially in a world where they've been really leaning on
On
like
the
practical effects, and costumes.
yeah.
It took me out of it how CGI he looked. So
Yeah,
I'm hoping they do so. I mean, I was happy to see him, but I'm hoping they
And
make it a little less.
took
jarring.
me a second to be like, who is that?
Yeah,
I had to watch it the second
right.
time and go,
Zeb.
oh, that's Zeb.
Yeah.
Yes, because he didn't look. They tried to make him look too realistic, and
that's what happened with, I feel like, all of the CGI stuff that they did when they first like with the special effects, like or with the special editions in like the 90s when they came out. Hey, we can do CGI. Let's make everything CGI. That's
yeah.
what Zeb kind of. So again,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens. But
yeah. We do see in the trailer Kanan Jarrus as well.
Kanan Jarrus, Jedi Knight.
And we see Sabine. Did you get it?
I think. I don't know.
I don't know.
Go on.
All right. So, who are all of these characters that we see?
So we have our main character, Ezra Bridger.
Ezra Bridger.
Right now, this all happens on Lothal. Pagan was saying today as we were watching, like, it is nice that Rebels doesn't just take place on Tatooine. I'm like, yeah, it just takes place on Lothal.
Right.
Like,
and
that's essentially it.
And I think they talk about going to Tatooine, but they spend 90% of their time on Lothal. Yeah.
Which is fine, but it is funny that they just kind of keep it to there.
Question also. All of the planets, although I think Lothal, they actually do have different environments.
Right, because it's not just a desert planet or a water planet.
And even
it does seem a very Earth-like planet.
Yes. One of the books, it might be the Last Commando. They were talking. No, it was in the Thrawn book, because in the Thrawn book they spent a lot of time on Coruscant, and they were talking about how, since they built the entire city on top of the planet does have water, but it's all now in underground caverns and tunnels and things like that. So
was that the book where they have like the peak that like you can walk up to on the street?
No, that was in the movie. That was in one of the TV shows. That was in the
what was that?
The last.
Oh, that was in Andor.
That was in Andor.
That's right.
Yeah. Where it was like, this is the highest part
of the planet,
of the actual planet, and there's just this little mountain. Yeah. But yeah, so in the book they do talk about how there is a planet underneath this entire city.
Right.
But whatever. And
they all like, I never really got the scope of Coruscant until that book too. They're like, oh, just go up to floor 4,000.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Okay. These
like
are tall
the bottom 100 floors are
like the slums.
The slums. Yeah. You don't want to go down there.
Yeah. You want to be in the thousands of floors.
So not only is the planet completely covered,
I do pretty poorly in heights. Like, I've been on the top of like the Sears Tower where you like go out on the
that glass box. Yeah,
I'm very bad with that. Can you imagine that on the 4,000th floor?
But the only way I can justify it, I guess, is that all of the buildings are that tall.
Sure.
So even though you're looking out like you're on the 50th floor in Philadelphia,
Sure.
where everything is that high.
You probably don't have much of a view. Really.
Don't have much of a view because
Yeah.
it's all just buildings. Now, it would be awfully awkward when you're walking out and, there's no hand railings at all in Star Wars ever. But yeah, if you're on the 4,000th floor and a gust of wind comes by and blows you over,
Messed up.
I wonder how many deaths there are of people who fall. And
probably a substantial amount.
You would think so.
A substantial
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah. So do those people never go outside? But you see cars outside all the time.
But like even the landing platforms don't have railings.
No,
like
and
it's
they're
just
very
a large
small.
open circle.
Yeah.
Well, not that large, but a circle.
Uh-huh.
The ship lands on it, and you just like walk down the walkway, and you're just like, all right, I'm going to stay right in the middle.
Right.
Of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. It would be very nerve wracking. 100%.
I wouldn't be on board.
Not on board with that at all. No. All right. So back to
yeah,
Rebels.
We have Ezra Bridger. He's essentially Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Our Lothal street rat with the coiffed hair, stealing Melurun fruit and
yes,
being mysterious. He has his little like wrist slingshot. He uses
yeah, which is neat. That
very little.
It does enough damage
it's a stun.
Distract people to let him get away because he is Aladdin, and then once you're distracted, he can climb 2 stories real fast and get away from you
with a loaf of bread.
With a loaf of bread
for his pet monkey.
Yes. But I was gonna say he had something, but I guess maybe it would be Chopper that turned out to be his pet monkey.
I feel like he did have something though. Didn't
he? In the first episode, I feel like he was stealing for something, but maybe not.
Either way. So we got Ezra Bridger. He's this Lothal street rat. His parents were freedom fighters. And
they were captured when he was 7, because he talks about it towards the end of season 1.
Yeah.
When he was 7, he's been on the streets by himself since he was 7. So for 8 years, I think he's like 15, 16 at the time when the series starts.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees Kanan Jarrus.
Kanan Jarrus, Jedi Knight.
Is Freddie Prinze Jr. also the voice in Ahsoka as well?
So I don't know. So like I don't know if you've seen any interviews with Freddie Prinze Jr. He has zero interest in coming back to Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Like
okay.
None.
Okay.
I think he likes Star Wars. And like he did like that like voiceover for the movie as like a but I don't think he has a whole lot of interest in coming back.
Okay.
Maybe he's just saying that to like throw people off the set. But like whenever he talks about Star Wars, he's very frank. There's a pretty viral video of him going off on Star Wars fans in an interview because they're like, this is the way the Force works. You're just pissed off that a girl is doing like,
okay.
But like, I think he liked it, but I don't know how into coming back he is.
Okay.
So
he's not listed yet on IMDb.
Yeah.
And for that matter, Kanan Jarrus is not listed yet on IMDb.
Well, by that time he's dead. Right.
Oh, true. He did die at the end of.
If only there. Spoiler alert. Oh boy. So if like, I don't know, if he did come back, it would only be as either a voice or like a
ghost spirit,
or else like a flashback.
Yeah.
But my guess is we're not going to see any Kanan Jarrus. We are going to see his boo, Harrison Dula.
Yeah, Harrison. Now Harrison Dula, she's the green Twi'lek.
Sure.
She's the ace pilot.
She's the mom of the group.
Yeah. And it was interesting in the first 2 or 3 episodes, she did call Kanan Hun a lot.
Yeah.
And then they went away from that whole love story between the two of them until the end of the series again. Then they kind of like bring it back again. And she's like, I can't lose you type of thing, whatever. So it was interesting because I completely forgot all about it until the end when they're like sad and talking to each other like a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what did they just like? But then when in the rewatch of the first season, I was looking for it, and she did call him Hun a couple of times.
And they make some references about being like the mom and dad of the group and stuff. And specifically in one of the episodes, they were like, oh, it feels great when the kids are out, right?
Yeah.
So I think I might chalk it up a little bit to the first season being a little more kid oriented, not much more, but a little more.
And the animation at the last episode of the first season, there was a lightsaber battle, and it was very quirky, I guess would be like their movements were real, very cartoonish.
Yeah, and that's one of my. I don't love the animation style of Rebels. I love Rebels. I don't love the animation style.
Yeah.
Pagan is rewatching the last season, like the re-released last season of Clone Wars,
Okay.
and the animation is amazing. Like
Yes.
the animation in that last season of Clone Wars is out of this world. And I kind of wish that Rebels was like that. So the two things that are jarring to me every time I see them in Rebels, number one, lightsaber combat, right? Because you're right,
Yeah.
it looks jerky and like kind of cartoonish, and running.
Yes.
Anytime a character is running, it just takes me out. I'm like, they look so silly.
It looks very Scooby Doo-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like gravity doesn't quite affect them, and they're like, run, run,
Yeah.
run. So yeah, the best thing they ever did for the animation was that duel between Ahsoka and Maul, where they actually motion captured Ray
real
Park
people.
and
Yeah.
someone else, and it looked real.
It looked, yeah.
So I am too, like, I'm sometimes disappointed with the lightsaber battles in
Yeah.
Rebels just because of that, and in a lot of Clone Wars too, because only that one battle in Clone Wars was really done that way.
Right. In the 7th season,
Whatever
or
the last very last
season
season
was.
was, yeah.
In episode 8, Gathering Forces, when they were fighting, even like they were making silly faces as well, like their eyes were bulging, almost like tell them Large Marge sent you, as they were doing it.
Rest
And
in peace.
rest in peace,
Pee-wee.
Pee Wee Herman. Yes. So can I pour this out?
Yeah,
for
that is exactly what you would pour out for Pee Wee right there. There's no better drink.
But like Trey was like walking through as we're watching, and he goes, why are they doing that? Why does the animation look like that? I go, I don't know. It was really weird. But the story, like you said, and we've said it before, that the story is great.
So who else? We have
Okay, so
Zeb.
Zeb
Zeb is a Lasat.
Right. So, which is fun about the fun backstory on Zeb is the Ralph McQuarrie drawing of
Chewbacca,
a
right?
Chewbacca of a Wookiee is what Zeb is based off of.
Which is cool because, again, it gives you a little insight into like when you see what Zeb can do too. Like in the first season, we see Zeb crawling up walls and stuff, and like he's super strong, and so it is cool to see like here's this other character with these kind of superhuman strength sort of things, but also like a Wookiee, like is intelligent. In your Thrawn, I forget if it's in this Thrawn book or one of the other Thrawn books where Leia goes to Kashyyyk.
It was in 2, I think.
And she's talking to these Wookiee, and the one has a speech impediment.
Yeah.
And his speech impediment is such that she can understand him.
Right.
She's like, why can I understand you so well? Oh, he's like, oh, I have a speech impediment.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
He doesn't speak Wookiee very well. He's got a speech impediment. And she's like, "Oh, I understand you. I can't understand anything Chewbacca says."
I guess with Zeb, they figure, we'll just let him speak.
We'll just let him speak basic, yeah.
All right, basic.
So we do see Zeb in, at least we saw Zeb in the last one. Hopefully, we'll see him in this as well.
I can't imagine they would have teased us with Zeb and then not give us Zeb and
Ahsoka.
I'm
looking at the list, and like I said, right now they don't have all the characters, obviously, because they don't want to give too much away.
Right.
But
they probably have just the characters that they have shown in
the previews
so far.
So Zeb, what did you say? What species?
Lasat.
That he is. So he's the muscle of the group.
Does he have 4 arms? Or
No, he only has 2 arms.
Why am I thinking he has 4 arms?
But his feet are very strong.
He's got what do they call it? A vestigial? Is that what it is when you're
with the thumb toe thing sticking out there? Yeah. So he and Rebels starts. They're not with not Kanan. They're not with Ezra.
Right. Ezra's just a
low threat, just a kid living off the street.
And they're like pulling a job of some sort.
Yeah,
he gets in the way.
Yeah, they're trying to steal some crates. They don't know what's in the crates, but they're trying to steal some crates.
Doesn't matter at this point.
It doesn't matter. And he sees that they're trying to steal some crates, so he's like, "Ooh, I'm going to steal those crates." So then they're fighting over the crates, and then they wind up taking him with them because it's that or leave him to be killed. So they take him, and it's this whole conflict of, we don't want him here. He doesn't want to be here. He feels that he deserves half of the crates because he helped steal them. They said you wouldn't have known what they were if we weren't stealing them. You stole them from me, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it was almost kind of, I feel like when you think about um not Solo, what's the other one? Rogue One with the guy who's like, "Oh, you're just getting skin in the game. I've been in this game for how long?
Right.
What does
Yeah.
this rebellion mean to you?" I mean, it didn't mean anything to Ezra at the beginning, right? He was
Yeah.
just trying to survive and trying to make it by. And these people pop on and they're fighting this bigger cause, and he doesn't get it.
He
And they
doesn't
don't get
get it.
him.
Yeah.
And then over time he learns to get it, and they learn, oh, this kid gets.
Yeah.
It's a growing
It is.
pain thing. And another thing they said in the Star Wars Explained thing that I really liked is that Star Wars is a lot of Star Wars is about found family.
Okay.
You
Yep.
know, like
Even
this
the
is not your
Mandalorians,
family,
yeah.
but you have found family where so like Ezra lost his family, but he found one
He found
through this.
yes, this is his new
And,
family that he found.
like when you look at his relationship with Zeb, especially at the beginning,
Uh-huh.
they're like bickering brothers,
Yes.
and they like fight each other, and Chopper as well.
Yep.
But eventually they, just in going through so much together, they get a respect for each other and they wind up liking each other. And then they compared Sabine to the sister, and I thought, well, that gets weird.
Yeah.
That gets a little awkward.
Right.
I mean, not in
because
Star Wars, because brother and sister kiss
brother
all
and
the
sister
time in
kiss
Star
all
Wars.
the time. Yeah. But the fact that
I mean, Ezra definitely has a thing for Sabine.
in the very beginning he does. Oh, and I guess towards as it keeps going as well. But yes, he from the very beginning he was like,
"Hey, girl,
how you doing?" She was like, "Get away from me."
Yep. Get away. I'm just trying to color here.
I'm just trying.
Just wanna
I
paint your
love.
room.
I love her spray paint. She has one can that
That's
can
it.
do any color,
Star
every
Wars
color.
spray paint.
That's right.
It's
So
space spray
Sabine
paint.
Wren, we're talking about right
Yep.
now. She is a Mandalorian that lost her Mandalorian folk.
Yep. She studied at the Imperial Academy on Mandalore, and she was there during the siege of Mandalore, in the fall of Mandalore, wasn't she?
I think so. Yes.
And so one of her big story arcs in the beginning of the Rebels is that she's on board with this rebel crew, and they can't tell her everything, and she's like, "Hey man, you're telling me to trust you and you're not telling me things. That's what they told me in the stormtrooper thing, and then they killed everyone." So
yeah.
But it looks like she's going to be a huge part of
Of
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka. Yeah.
And I think this is like a season 2 or 3 thing, but somewhere in Rebels they talk about Sabine not being force sensitive. I feel like
Right.
Kanan's talking about like, "Oh, you're really good, but like I don't think you got the force." But like she's pretty clearly doing some forcey type stuff. So maybe it's like a red herring that they're gonna pull out from under her, like "Oh, fooled you. It's just she's got Ezra's lightsaber and she's messing with it, or something like that." So
yeah,
I don't know.
So that wraps up with Zeb, the crew, the main crew, and Harris, Sabine,
Syndulla,
Zeb,
yeah.
Kanan, and then Ezra and Chopper.
And then, of course, later on, we find out that Fulcrum, right, which
Right.
is a recurring character throughout the season, and one that if you see the little symbol, you should have put together, but I didn't.
Right.
That is Ahsoka.
Yes.
And so, do we? I don't even remember. We don't see her in the first season.
No, she's. We see her
the last episode,
either the last episode of the first season or the first episode of the second season.
Yeah.
Because spoiler alert, at the end of the first season, they fight Darth Vader, or they run into Darth Vader. They have no idea who he is. They just know both Kanan and Ezra are trying to fight him, and he's just very easily overpowering them.
Right.
Which also made it fun for me because we talked about this before. When you read the books, Thrawn, I forget what one of the other books was, but they always try and make
Thrawn Ascendancy or Thrawn.
In either in the Thrawn book when he met Anakin, and then he also alliances. Yeah, he's and they make Thrawn out to be smarter and better than Darth Vader. And there was another book that I read, I forget which one, and I forget who the other person was, but they were constantly battling with Darth Vader also, and constantly making Darth Vader look weak, which is funny because then in this is the Darth Vader that we learn to respect from even just episodes 4, 5, and 6, when you just knew that he was the Dark Knight. He was,
and like the last scene of Rogue One. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where he comes in and he tears through that battalion
The,
of troopers,
troops and just
and
blast people.
now in Obi-Wan when we got to see, you know, I don't know, like maybe they got to figure out a way to standardize his power levels, because like I'm listening to these books and I'm thinking like, why aren't you doing more things? Because like
yeah.
in Obi-Wan, he stops a ship, he tears off a whole chunk of the ship, just like
Yeah.
boom, tears off, like this dude has got some stuff going on. And then like I don't know, I see.
And then in the books, Thrawn can outthink him,
Yeah,
and he doesn't just take Thrawn and just
Throw
throw him across, throw him through the wall and
Yeah.
out into space. Like if with the powers that he has in the movies, the way he's disrespected in the books, he would just Thrawn wouldn't be a person
Right.
because he would just. I mean, look in episodes 4 and 5. Everybody who disagrees, he chokes them out.
with the exception of Grand Moff Tarkin.
Right.
So
yes.
again, so you know, there is some like precedent for someone like being above Vader, but they just make it seem too one side. Like
Yeah.
Vader / Anakin is supposed to be the chosen one. We've
Right.
seen he's a like a genius pilot. He's a mechanical genius. He's the strongest Force user ever. But like in the book, they just kind of make him seem like a doof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Constantly.
he kills a lot of people and for no reason.
And for no reason. Yeah.
You know,
and
that's about it.
his ideas are stupid. This Death Star thing is dumb. You should do what I want to do. We'll just build a fleet and we can destroy everybody with a fleet that's so much better than what he wants to do. And, you know, constantly making him look less to make their characters look more.
Right.
So, yeah. So at the end of and then Kanan and Ezra are talking to Ahsoka saying who, and she goes, I know who he is. And she's like, and they're like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, that was, I think she even says that was my old
So I know
mentor or something like that.
there was, I don't know that, because again, we haven't watched 2 or 3 yet, or 4. I guess there's 4 seasons.
There's
right?
4 seasons. Yeah.
But I know when they had their like final battle, she like suddenly goes, "Oh my god, it is you." You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
I know she like had her
suspicions as to who it was.
But like I also remember during that battle, she's like, "Oh, you can't be Anakin. My master would never do this, that, or the other thing."
Right.
So I don't know. I'll have to really be thinking about that when I watch.
Yeah. So real fast, we'll run through. Season 1 was 8 episodes. The first episode, Spark of Rebellion. This is the one where they first meet Ezra.
It's our intro to all the characters and the main character.
And don't be upset if you hate Ezra in this episode, because I was like, okay, he's Aladdin.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to be Aladdin the whole time, but they quickly get away from him being Aladdin once they incorporate him into the family. He's no longer this Aladdin character.
And for, you know, in Rebels, less than Clone Wars, I feel like Clone Wars was a lot of times very kid oriented, and we talked about like the droid episodes and stuff, and there is a little bit of that in Rebels, like especially I feel like with him and Zeb when they go out on their zany adventures. But the first episode is, I think, the most in the entire series of that, because it really does feel to me like when they're bringing Ezra in, it's like, I'm a kid, and I'm gonna be a Jedi,
right?
You know
and
what I mean?
I'm an idiot.
It just felt like this character is speaking to children and is like, hey, let's go be a Jedi as a kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to do everything I'm not supposed to do no matter what.
Yep.
Because I'm a kid.
Yep.
And that's what kids do.
And so, yeah. So he did seem a little immature, and not even just his character felt a little immature in the first episode, even on my rewatch. But as you keep going, you're like, okay, they moved away from that pretty quickly.
Yeah. So then episode 2, Droids in Distress. The crew of the Ghosts are running low on supplies, so they take on a mission to transport weapons where they run into some familiar droids. That was
C-3PO and R2-D2 one.
Yeah,
right? And we see Bail Organa at the end of that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, another droids episode.
It wasn't as bad. It was fun. I did like when they were on the ship and they tricked. They made Chopper and Ezra start fighting, and then they go, "Hey, shut that droid down!" And he goes, "Well, if my droid's gonna have to get shut down, then those droids up there are gonna have to get shut down too." And then it pans out, and it's C-3PO and R2-D2, and C-3PO is like, "But I know 6,000 lines of communication and blah 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 blah," and they're like, "Nope." So then Sabine translates for them, but translates wrong. She knows where the drop is, but she tells them to go to a different platform.
Yep.
Then episode 3, fighter field to prevent Ezra and Zeb from bickering.
This is the one with the Mailer Run fruit.
Yeah, she sends them on a supply run. And then they
get all their supplies,
right,
except the fruit, and then they say, "Hey, look, those stormtroopers have that fruit.
They had that fruit.
Might as well ruin everything by just getting that fruit.
We have to get that fruit."
I mean, to be fair, she did say, "Don't come back without a Mailer
without
fruit."
the without that fruit. So they came back with the fruit, but nothing else that they really needed.
Better be a damn good fruit.
It better be. Episode 4, Rise of the Old Masters. The rebel crew undergoes a rescue mission only to face a powerful foe. This is when they first get introduced.
One, right? This is where they have the like mummy.
Yes.
Of, who was that?
There was a Jedi.
Who was that? That's gonna annoy me.
I forget, but
it wasn't Depa Billaba because that was his old master. That's gonna annoy me. Anyway,
yeah. So this is when they first meet the Inquisitor, also.
Right. Who, again, Pagan and I were talking about this. It is crazy to me that the character in the cartoon is more threatening and like scary looking than the live action.
Yes.
The live action looks like such a goon. Like, I wish they would have done a little more to make him look threatening.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, I understand you can only go so much, and it's pretty funny. I was listening to Brian Bauminger's
Who?
Kevin from The Office.
Baumgartner.
Yeah. Brian Baumgartner's podcast, and he had Toby on.
Luminara Unduli. That's the name.
That's the one. He had Toby on, and Toby being one of the writers, Paul Lieberstein being one of the writers as well, and
that's why he had his office in the
back,
annex.
So that way they
didn't
need
with Mindy Kaling
and BJ, yeah, so that they didn't have to get seen all the time. But Paul Lieberstein came from what was the men? Oh my God, did you get it? Nope, he flew this way. I want to say Grumpy Old Man, but it's not Grumpy Old Man. It was a cartoon where they were the guys from The Simpsons started it. King of the Hill.
King of the Hill.
He came from King of the Hill,
like
where as a writer on King of the Hill. Yeah, yeah. Where
it's
he's
a great show.
It was a great show. Yeah. And so did who's the showrunner, the producer, or whatever of The Office. He also came from King of the Hill.
Michael Schur?
Not him. I forget who. Anyway, so he was saying, like, they could write with a cartoon. You could write and make people do whatever you want. And he was saying it was really cool. Like, he could have 21 different locations in a cartoon because it's just drawing a different background.
Right.
In a sitcom, you got one spot. That's it. You're in the dugout. Every once in a while, you can go to an away shot, but most time you're in the dugout. And then Brian said to him, he goes, at one point I did have to say to you guys, I'm not Homer Simpson. I do have my limitations.
Right.
He said the one stunt that they made him do, which didn't even look that amazing, but it hurt for weeks, was the episode when they were trying to figure out how to get all the paper from the warehouse into the trucks after the warehouse guys quit.
Oh, and then he had to slide?
And he slid in the background. There was the talking head in front of him.
Oh, that's right. And he slipped and fell.
He slipped and fell.
It was Jim and Dwight talking.
Jim and Dwight were talking in the front, and he slipped and fell in the background. He's like, he goes, well, they just put down a mat, and they were like, you didn't fall big enough type of thing. And he was like, I'm not a cartoon character. This is all I can do. And he said that one still hurts to this day. Like where he landed, it still hurts. But anyway, going back to the cartoon being better than the live action.
Right.
Sometimes cartoons are much easier to make look more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Like, I think the big thing that makes him look more threatening is he's long. His head is kind of long.
Yeah.
And human heads just don't kind of look. But again, if you remember episode 3, when they show that species, that guy is kind of freaky looking. Like they made the costume and the makeup and the prosthetics look creepy for this dude.
Yes.
And for the new guy, I don't know like what they were kind of going for, but it didn't land.
It didn't land as well. Yeah, maybe it'll look better when you see it. Oh, almost. Now he's over here. if you see it longer than just a quick shot of him or something like
Right.
that. Episode 5, Breaking Ranks, when they sent Ezra on an undercover mission into the Imperial
Oh,
Academy.
that was a good one too. Yeah,
That was a very good one.
he's
Yeah,
like jumping up all those. This is
all
like
those crates and
weird,
everything. Yeah,
it's like a video game level.
yeah, it
Like
was.
that things come out of the walls and stuff.
And they were able to, and whatever. So they're basically looking for, and they're trying to train kids to become the next round of stormtroopers.
Right.
And they're looking for the best ones. And
And
Ezra
then they were
gets it.
too good.
And then they were too good. And the Inquisitor wasn't the Inquisitor that was there for that one.
He was there.
Okay.
Yep, he showed up, and I don't know if he was there the whole episode, but at one point, like he showed, and they were like, "Hey, these two are pretty darn good. You should check them out."
Yeah. So that was
And I will bring up another cartoon versus live action thing that I'm disappointed in. The Inquisitor in Obi-Wan didn't use his lightsaber to fly.
no.
I mean, it's ridiculous,
Yes.
but if you're gonna do it,
Yeah, go all in.
do it.
Yeah, do it. If you're gonna do it in the cartoons, do it out there as well. Episode 6, Out of Darkness. While on a supply run, her and Sabine find themselves stranded, but not alone, in a seemingly abandoned locale.
Right, that was the one where because of Zeb and Ezra's bickering and Chopper, they missed the fact that their fuel line was ruptured, and they went out to go this thing, and they were stranded with all those weird-looking bat wolf things that don't
Yes.
like the sun.
Yes, exactly. That was a good one. And then episode 7 was Empire Day.
I liked that one a lot.
This was a very good one. Yes.
It was very funny to see Kanan. Like, there's one point where he's acting like a drunk redneck.
Yep.
And he's like, "Woo, Empire Day!"
Empire
And Ezra's
Day.
like, "I'm sorry, my dad is just so patriotic."
So patriotic. He's so into it.
Oh boy.
But the whole purpose of that, they're trying to destroy a prototype TIE fighter while the team learns of refugee has important information and must get him off planet before the
That was
Imperials
Sibo,
find him.
right?
Yeah.
The
The
Rodian.
Rodian, yeah.
That was a sad.
It was a sad episode
Yeah.
because
He had that like
he had that thing on his
attached to
head
him,
that was keeping him from remembering things and
making him docile.
and everything. And then the last 2 episodes, the gathering forces, Kanan and Ezra try to protect an Imperial deserter by distracting the Imperial forces. I think that's when they meet Darth Vader.
So is that the one with Gul Travis? Because
Mm.
there's the one with Gul Travis. He's like the guy who's been making the like anti-government radio things.
Yes.
And it turns out he's a bad guy.
Right. He was just trying to lead all the rebels into
Right. Any insurgents, he would like, "Oh, you and me, we're buddies," and then it's like, "Nope."
Nope. There's a big fight at the end of this with Ezra, Kanan, and the Inquisitor. They have a good lightsaber battle.
And that's also the one I think where like the Inquisitor messes with him. Is that the one where he talks to Yoda?
I think
Because there's the episode where both Kanan and Ezra.
Fulcrum, Fulcrum was in this one as her voice. You hear her
Right.
voice of Fulcrum. Baron von Ruder voice, Admiral. Constance, Zeb's, Chopper, Sabine. Nope. There's nobody listed here as this is with Sibo.
Okay.
TSEE. Yeah, Sibo. But nothing with Yoda. I think Yoda is in the last episode.
Yeah, I think you're right.
9.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Frank Oz voiced Yoda in this as well.
And it was interesting too because Ezra has no idea who this dude is. Obviously,
No.
He just hears this disembodied voice.
Yes.
But Kanan does know the voice,
Right.
And like talks to him and stuff. So it was cool to bring him back. And it's because again, us growing up in Star Wars.
This is the one where they go into the Jedi Temple, Path
Right.
of the Jedi. They go into the Jedi Temple and they're able to use the Force to spin it to open it up, but then the Inquisitor goes in and messes everything up. But yes,
it's interesting to see Yoda interact with him because like when we grew up, it was, hey, Luke's the only Jedi. Oh, maybe Leia too. Right. But we know now there are loads of Jedi who survived.
Yeah.
And we know Yoda's over on Dagobah, kind of just, chilling out on his own. And like all of a sudden you can kind of picture in his exile, Yoda being like, holy shnikey, is like, what is going on? I can sense these other people.
Right.
And like reaching through the Force to talk to them, be like, you're alive and you're a Jedi and let's chat. It's just interesting to see and to think about like him in his seclusion on this barren wasteland suddenly being opened up to other Jedi around.
Yeah. So it was first season was only 9 episodes. and then the second season is where it really starts to pick up, with a lot more with Ahsoka. So if you want to start really finding out about Ahsoka, then you're really going to start picking that up in season 2. But
And again, if you've not watched Rebels and you're like listening to this right, like go watch it. It
Yeah.
doesn't take long.
Yeah.
The episodes aren't long, and push through the this is a cartoon thing. Like
Right.
really, because the storytelling is such good Star Wars storytelling. The characters are really well fleshed out and well acted, and you care about the relationship. And I try and compare it a little to like the Bad Batch, because the Bad Batch has a similar feel of like this found family,
Right.
but I just don't care about any of those characters. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I care about all of
I
these
care about the
characters.
characters
You know
in
what I mean?
Rebels. Yes.
It feels like more human and
Mhm.
more interesting and more alive. So yeah, go watch it
Go
1,000
watch it.
times.
Yes. And then 1,000 more times.
Yeah,
make
and then
sure
watch
you do-
season 2, because we're gonna have to break down season 2
Right.
sometime in the
And
next
then
week.
and then Ahsoka comes out on the 23rd with 2 episodes.
Yeah,
Starting on August
August
23rd.
It's a day after my wife's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
So make sure, if you don't know anything about Rebels yet and you can't wait to watch Ahsoka, then definitely
You got
check
time.
out something, because you have time.
And I'm sure there's even out there like guides where you can go, all right, I need all the important Ahsoka episodes.
Yeah.
Just like Clone Wars, Clone Wars is a lot less dense than Rebels is. There's a lot more
Yes.
space to breathe. Rebels has a lot of stuff that happens with only 4 seasons, and that's because they planned it to be 4 seasons and done, which is great, right? He had a plan. This is what's going to happen. It doesn't need to keep going, and it never
Right.
got bad. I never felt like in Rebels, all right, this is just we're treading water here, trying to find a thing to do.
So, as you said that, I just Googled, and Screen Rant has 16 Star Wars Rebel episodes to watch before Ahsoka.
Ah, there you go. 16.
16 episodes
And
to watch.
that's 16 out of like 40 or so. So
Yes,
yeah, that's
there's-
definitely a trim down for
Yes.
sure.
Sparks of Rebellion Parts 1 and 2. That's the first 2 episodes of Rebels, so that
Mhm.
you can get to know who the people
characters,
are. The
right.
characters are. Fire Across the Galaxy. The final of Star Wars Rebels Season 1, Fire Across the Galaxy, is Ahsoka's first true appearance.
Right.
Siege of Lothal, Parts 1 and 2. This is the first 2 episodes of Season 2. Did you get it?
No, it was inside this card box, man. It keeps
Man,
dropping
it
in
is a
there.
pain in the butt. So it's the first 2 episodes of Season 2. This is when they actually meet Darth Vader. I was
Right.
thinking it was the end of Season 1, but it's the start of Season 2. And this is where, like I said, the animation... Kanan's animation, his facial things are a little very cartoonish.
Well, the nice thing about that is eventually he loses all function in his eyes.
Right.
So we don't have to see him
You
make
don't have
those
to see
weird
him make
eyes
weird
anyway.
faces anymore. Shrouds of Darkness, somewhere in Season 2. The Twilight of the Apprentice, which is... They
That's
have
got to
like...
be a Maul one, right?
Following a battle with Imperial Inquisitor and Darth Maul himself on the
Yeah.
Sith world of Malachor, Vader arrives to end his hunt of Ezra and Kanan once and for all. However, Ahsoka steps in, confronting her old master at the peak of an ancient Sith temple. I remember this one. This is a really
the
good
one
one.
that
This
we
is where...
returned to at the the
Uh-huh.
last episode.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most emotional, impactful moments in Rebels, because it was the first time since Return of the Jedi that we saw behind the mask.
Yes.
When she it's
she
it's such
cuts open the mask, and it's funny
such
because...
a go-to now. Anytime like in Obi-Wan, same slice happens where we only see part of his face.
Right. But I think in Obi-Wan you saw the other half of his face
Right.
Compared to what you saw in
So
Rebels.
so you put the two together, and we
Yeah,
get the
and you
full
can see his
picture.
whole face.
That's
and
right.
it doesn't look like Luke Skywalker from Empire Strikes Back.
It does not.
No.
Turns out different
guy. Steps into the Shadows Part 1 and 2, which is Season 3. Hera's Heroes. Oh, this is a good one, because this is when you meet Thrawn and you find out about his way of doing battle is by learning about the art.
Right.
And in this, The Last Commando, somebody says, "What are you going to do?" He's like, "Yeah, that's great." Thrawn's whole thing is, if you know the art
You know the people.
of the people, you know the people, you know how to beat the people. And in The Last Commando, somebody says, "Yeah, if all that's left are the artists,
Yeah.
then you know how to beat them."
It's
Season
like
3.
if you look at Picasso, suddenly you'll know how to deal with me.
Right.
Right? Like
Just
like
cut
just
off
look
your
at
ear.
Picasso.
Yeah,
and,
just look at Picasso and when
hey,
you can deal with Nick.
Isn't that Van Gogh? Didn't Van
Sure.
Gogh cut
Well,
off
then
his
there
ear?
we go. See, I don't even know.
Different guy.
Different guy. Through Imperial Eyes is the other episode in which Thrawn's great intellect is on full display. Heroes of Mandalore, parts 1 and 2. This is where you learn about Bo-Katan, which
Right.
we might see in Ahsoka as well. And then the end of this is where it starts to get a little, I don't want to say jump the shark, but it definitely changes in the World Between Worlds.
Right.
Is where suddenly now there's this whole thing, which I wonder if they're going to get into in Ahsoka at all.
I watched an interview with Dave Filoni recently where he talked about the World Between Worlds. And because a lot of people see it as cheating,
Okay.
like time travel, but like apparently there's a very specific thing with the World Between Worlds. Like, Ezra couldn't just like hop back and save like Kanan. Like that
Okay.
just wasn't, that's not something you can't just go to the World Between Worlds and open a door and there you are in the past. The World Between Worlds is more spiritual than that, and like
Okay.
it's your World Between Worlds. Like it you have to watch the
interview. Yeah.
because it's Dave Filoni and he has
Yeah.
very specific views on this stuff.
He sure does.
But he explained it in a way that's a little less shark jumpy.
Okay.
And again, I don't mind the World Between Worlds. I actually like all the interesting Force spiritual stuff they get
Sure.
into.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out that interview with Dave Filoni. It's interesting.
And the World Between Worlds is kind of like a place that they go into, and then they can travel through time. They go forwards or backwards
Right.
to different points in time. So
But it's
if you
but
haven't
it's
seen
like
it,
points in time for that person.
right?
Like he heard, like Ezra heard voices in the World Between Worlds, like different like voices from the Star Wars universe, but he couldn't quite flesh them out. He couldn't hear them like who they are or where they were because they weren't really him. They weren't
Okay.
really in relation to his journey.
Right.
But like the door to the Vader and Ahsoka battle and seeing Ezra, those are his journey, and so he had a more clear view of those
Okay.
in the World Between
in the World
Worlds.
Between Worlds. Okay. And then this says family reunion and farewell. I'm not sure.
It's got to be like the last episode. Right?
Yeah, if that's the last episode.
I'm sure that's like when we see Ezra go away with the whales.
Yeah,
we got to know, if you don't know what happened to Thrawn before this, you're going to be a little lost when all of a sudden you see all these giant space whales.
Oh, there it is. Family reunion and farewell is season 4, episode 15. It's the very last one. Ezra's team takes drastic action to free Lothal, entering Imperial HQ, and Thrawn's return to stop them. And then this says the World Between Worlds is okay. Sorry. Although it would be good for fans unfamiliar with Star Wars Rebels to watch all the aforementioned episodes to get a strong grasp on Ahsoka's prior history and those she'll soon be reuniting with in live action series, the finale is a must-watch episode before Ahsoka starts streaming on Disney+. The episode establishes why both Ezra and Thrawn are missing from the original trilogy, and the trailer for Ahsoka confirms the show will take place soon after Star Wars episode Rebels epilogue, where Ahsoka herself returned to ask for Sabine's help finding Ezra. All in all, it's become evident that Ahsoka will serve as a direct sequel to Star Wars Rebels.
Yep.
So if you don't want to watch all 77 episodes, if you don't want to watch the 16 episodes that were listed in Screen Rant,
At the very least,
watch
the last two.
season 4, episode 15, the very last one, because that's where
We're gonna
Ahsoka
pick
will
up.
probably pick up from. So it'll give you a little bit of history into that.
But for real, watch at the very least these episodes that they're talking
Yeah,
about.
these
if not
16,
all of
because
them.
these 16 have a lot of Ahsoka in it, where the other ones have a lot more Rebels in it.
And but I feel like you're just going to be very behind and clueless if you don't know the characters at the very least. Have a basic understanding of who Hera is and who Ezra is and why they are where they are.
Sabine especially, yeah, and why.
And apparently Hera and Ezra, or Hera and Kanan's kid is going to be in this.
Oh,
yeah, they had a kid.
Okay.
I forget what his name is, but apparently their kid is going to be featured in this show.
Okay.
And my question is he going to be a Twi'lek?
Yeah.
Is
Is
he
it going to
gonna
be
be a
Twi'lek?
human?
Is it going to be human? Is he only going to have one
One
Leku?
Leku and hair on the other
Hair
side.
on the other side?
Just like long hair and a
He'll
Leku.
he'll have braids
Or
on
maybe
this side
two Leku, but
and
like hair.
dreads in between, some
like
hair mixed in between there.
Well, you think about like Yaddle. Yaddle has that weird head of hair on top of her head.
She does.
Anyway,
So that'd be pretty cool.
That's
if it
it,
is.
man. You gotta go check those out.
Yeah. So
in the meantime, we are going to be watching season 2 and
Right.
reporting back on it soon.
Yes.
We got to do that pretty soon, I guess.
Pretty
We only got
soon,
like 2 weeks before. the
Yeah,
whole comes
we're
out.
running out of time for 4 seasons. We got 3 more seasons to go. So we might do season 2 and 3 maybe combined and then go through. And then Nick is gone.
Oh, band camp. Oh, band camp
Band
comes.
camp is going to mess everything up.
Boy. Well, you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But yeah, that's season 1. We are excited to break down more seasons for you in the coming weeks here.
Yes.
So go watch those episodes if you've not seen any of them. If you've seen them all, go watch them again.
And like we've said 1,000 times, and we'll say it 1,000 more times, we really enjoyed Rebels.
Yep.
Even for a cartoon, it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, you have to push past the animation every now and then. But if it's not near as much as you would think.
No,
honestly.
no.
After
the
a while,
storytelling is really good.
You start just listening and watching and
And
enjoying.
and there's been other cartoons since Rebels, Star Wars cartoons since Rebels that were very Resistance. I watched. It was much more kid based than Rebels is.
I've started watching Tales of the Jedi.
Okay.
Have you watched any of those
with your daughter?
No, that with my wife.
With your wife? Okay.
So have you watched any of the Tales of the Jedi?
No. Are they good?
They're not for kids. They're pretty dark.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they're only 15-minute episodes.
Yeah.
But they follow like Mace Windu, Ahsoka, and Dooku. Like,
oh no, I saw those.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're
there's only like
6 or 7.
six. Yeah,
something like that.
there's like
A
2 or
handful
4 episodes for
per
each
kid,
of them.
yeah. I haven't finished them yet, but they're really
I thought
good.
you were talking about the young
Oh, no,
young star,
Jedi. I have
young
not
Jedi.
seen that yet.
Okay.
That's next though, because I will tell you, it is just delight to my heart when I'm sitting there watching Rebels and like something is happening on screen and Evangeline looks up and goes, she loves it, man.
You're like,
she
yes,
she
Star
like
Wars.
certain characters too, like Hera.
Okay.
She sees Hera and she's like, that's rad, man. I like
She's
her.
like, whoa,
Leku."
she's cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, that's all.
That's it.
Come listen to us. We'll be coming back with another one pretty darn soon.
Pretty soon, hopefully, yeah. Check out all our
social
meds, all ears up in depth.
Scraping the vault,
vaulting the scrape, Supreme Resort,
tacos.
where
They talk about all different types of Greek yogurt and sour cream and
Puny Pod, where they
Puny
talk
Pod.
about everything Marvel that there is to know about Marvel. All of us here on the Ears Up Network and all our social medias, Banthamilk this,
Banthamilk
Banthamilk that.
podcast at gmail.com. We're on we're not on Threads yet. We got to get on
We're
that.
still on X, even
We're
though
still-
we don't check it
Stop
at all.
Don't call it X.
X.
I can't handle it. Stop calling it X. No one.
Degeneration. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, check us out. We'll be coming back at you with more Star Wars action soon. But
Very
in
soon.
the meantime, we have spoken.
We have not drinking this.
No, we have
but
not.
We have spoken.